The cameras were meant to capture another royal fairy tale instead. They caught something darker, something real. When Prince Harry stepped out of that black SUV in New York, his face told the story. His silence, wooden jaw, tight shoulders, stiff A-man, barely holding it together under a wall of flashing cameras for Meghan. It was business as usual. The smile flipped on like a switch. Perfect, polished, practiced, but the distance between them was immediate. You could feel it through the screen, like they were one wrong breath away from a public blow-up. Then it happened. A shout from the crowd cut straight through the noise. "Stop using our children." That was the moment the mask cracked. Harry snapped his head toward the voice. For half a second, pure anger flashed across his face. Before he turned away, he grabbed Meghan's arm. Not gently, not lovingly, with the sharp urgency of someone desperate to get out. His lips moved, but no one heard the words. The tension said enough. The flashes didn't stop. Reporters kept shouting their names. But the fairy tale was already breaking apart. Those weren't the smiles of a couple in love. They were survival smiles, the kind you wear when everything is falling apart. And the cameras are still rolling from that moment on. Nothing about the night felt staged. The prince, who once defied the palace to protect her, now looked like a man protecting himself. From the cameras. From her, from whatever had gone wrong. Behind closed doors, they walked the red carpet side by side. But every step made the invisible gap between them wider. The world saw glamour. Insiders whispered something else: a silent war. And as the flashes kept firing, one question hung in the air: what happened between Harry and Meghan that turned devotion into resentment and a fairy tale into a fight? New York City, the night, buzzing with sirens, cameras, and expectation. This was supposed to be the comeback moment. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepping back into the spotlight. After months of silence, the venue glowed in warm gold light, carefully staged to signal rebirth, a reset. But behind the glow, people there say something felt off from the start. Event staff whispered about a tense exchange inside the SUV. Just seconds before they arrived, one security team member described Harry's face as ice-cold. Meghan, he said, sat stiff, fixing her earrings in the window's reflection. She never looked at him once. By the time the door opened, every camera in Manhattan was locked on them. Producers had planned the perfect entrance: one smooth walk, one shared smile. But those watching closely noticed the rhythm was wrong. Harry broke formation. He stepped ahead of Meghan, his pace quicker, his eyes fixed on the carpet, not the crowd. And this wasn't the first time cracks had slipped through the surface. Weeks earlier, at a private industry dinner, Meghan reached for Harry's hand under the table. He pulled away, muttering something brief. One witness said that was the exact moment the warmth drained from the room. Now royal reporters, PR insiders, even body language experts agree the fracture started long before New York. What happened at the awards gala wasn't just an awkward public moment, it was the unveiling of a private breakdown. Still, insiders can't agree on the cause. Some blame fame, others point to the palace. But one source close to Harry insists the real breaking point didn't happen in America at all. According to them, it started in Paris. To the public, it looked like a win. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, polished, powerful, united, stepping onto the red carpet as cameras exploded around them. For weeks, tabloids had hyped this moment as their big return. The night they'd take control of the story again. Every detail had been planned down to the second. The outfits, the walk, the smiles. Meghan shimmered in metallic gold. Every move intentional. Every glance aimed straight at the lens. Harry, in a classic tux, followed her lead, acknowledging the fans behind the barricades. On the surface, it was strength. Exiled royals turned global icons. But the illusion didn't last, not even a full heartbeat. When the first wave of flashes hit, the tension showed even on live streams. Harry's expression didn't match hers. He wasn't smiling, he was enduring it. A quiet exhale slipped out as Meghan waved, a flash of strain. No amount of media training could hide. Then, in the middle of the chaos, came one voice, sharp, unfiltered, cutting through the noise like a knife. "Stop using our children." Everything froze. The cameras caught the instant reaction. Meghan's smile tightening, Harry's jaw clenching, his eyes snapped toward the heckler, then sharply toward the entrance. It wasn't shock, it was recognition. Like the words echoed something already said behind closed doors. He reached for her arm. Not lovingly, urgently. The same move the cameras read as guidance was. According to a nearby photographer, a signal move. Now the warmth was gone, replaced by a silent command. From that moment on, the night unraveled quietly, invisibly. They kept playing their parts, the applause, the laughter, the poses. But whatever connected them was already gone to the world. It was glamour to those who knew better. It was grief dressed up as grace. And what the public celebrated as a comeback was in reality the opening act of their unravelling. On the surface it all looked perfect, but hit replay and a different story appeared. Every frame of that New York appearance was slowed down, zoomed in, picked apart, and what it revealed was a language no smile could hide. The distance between them wasn't about space. It showed up in the small things. Harry's hand hung at his side, fingers twitching every time Meghan reached for him. She smiled straight into the camera as he blinked hard, like someone trying to pull himself back together. Body language experts who reviewed the footage didn't hold back. One described Harry's posture as defensive withdrawal, the stance of someone emotionally shutting down under pressure. Another pointed out Meghan's laughter arrived a beat too late, like a delayed cue. It was coordination without connection. And it wasn't new. Weeks earlier, at a charity event hosted by Kevin Costner, Harry's irritation had already slipped through when Meghan tried to steer the conversation. His jaw tightened and his eyes drifted away. That same expression showed up again in New York only. This time it was sharper, colder. Behind the scenes, the whispers only got louder. A stylist who worked with Meghan that night claimed the fitting ended suddenly after an argument over her outfit. A publicist later said they heard Meghan's voice echo down a hallway, sharp clip, then a door slammed. No shouting from Harry, just silence. And insiders say that had become his pattern. He didn't argue anymore, he pulled back. When the red carpet photos hit social media, fans spotted the fracture right away. Side-by-side shots showed Harry leaning away, his expression flat, while Meghan leaned in, performing closeness. Photo agencies labelled the images romantic. But to anyone who had followed their story, it didn't look like affectionate. It looked like endurance. By the end of the night, even the event staff stopped calling it chemistry. One producer quietly said it felt like watching two actors share a scene they no longer believed in, and no one could stop asking the same question: what had turned a partnership into a performance? To understand what really happened, you have to rewind. Not to New York, not to California, but to Paris. That's where the first real cracks appeared. Before New York, there was Paris. And Paris was supposed to be Meghan's moment, a comeback. Front row seats, couture gowns, cameras everywhere on. On the surface, it was pure luxury, but behind the flawless photos, witnesses noticed something else. The two of them moved through the same space like strangers. Harry kept his distance, eyes locked straight ahead. Meghan worked the room, greeting designers with her familiar smile. To the crowd, it looked glamorous. To anyone close enough to really see, it felt cold. Then came the moment that changed everything. Meghan's team filmed her walking through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, the exact place where Princess Diana lost her life. Meghan glanced at the camera, scarf pulled tight around her face, her expression calm, soft, and unmistakably intentional. When the clip surfaced, online backlash erupted instantly, but inside their home, insiders say it triggered something far more serious. That wasn't just controversy, that was the spark. According to sources close to the couple, Harry was furious, not loud performative anger, not the kind that flares up and fades. This was quiet, deep, the kind that settles into your bones. That tunnel wasn't just a place to him, it was sacred for Meghan. It was symbolism, a reflection of legacy. But to Harry, it felt like a violation. Insiders say the argument that night was brutal. Words landed like shrapnel. Harry demanded to know how she could turn his mother's death into content. Meghan pushed back, calling it harmless, even artistic. But something in him snapped. For years, Harry had fought the world to defend her. In that moment, he couldn't anymore. And once that line was crossed, there was no way back from then. On the silence between them only grew louder. Harry stopped defending. Meghan stopped explaining. Their smiles turned into scripts. Their affection became choreography. Every public moment rehearsed, every gesture designed to keep the illusion intact. By the time New York happened, performance was all they had left. The laughter sounded mechanical. The eye contact felt forced. The man standing beside her wasn't angry anymore, he was empty. And that was the real danger no one saw coming. Not rage, not scandal, but hollowness. Because when love turns into survival, it doesn't explode, it erodes quietly, completely. And what started in Paris didn't end in New York. It just became visible. Every story has a rhythm. Theirs moves like a heartbeat that keeps skipping, uneven, fragile, impossible to ignore. You feel it in the pauses between smiles, in the clipped sentences exchanged off camera, in the silence that hangs just long enough to feel heavy. This isn't a fairy tale in bright colours, it's painted in shadows, cold silver flashes on a red carpet, the whisper of fabric brushing microphones, The low hum of a crowd waiting for something to break every word they speak in public is polished, rehearsed, perfect. But every silence tells the truth they can't say aloud. Their story is half theatre, half confession, dramatic in presentation, controlled in every detail, yet threaded with a quiet that makes you lean closer. Because what's falling apart between them doesn't explode. It happens in whispers behind closed doors between two people who know the script too well to admit they're lost in it. Every movement is deliberate. 3 beats of tension, one of calm phrases cut short, breaths held, thoughts left unfinished. Harry's voice, low-clipped, Meghan's steady strain together. They sound like dialogue from a film already in its final act. And that's the hidden pulse of their downfall. Not chaos. Precision. A perfect image built on controlled emotion, slipping slightly out of sync frame by frame. The more you watch, the clearer it becomes. Every pause, every glance, every carefully chosen word, each hides a truth more haunting than any lie somewhere between performance and confession. Their silence speaks loudest. Maybe those smiles were real once. Maybe the laughter on early red carpets wasn't staged, but between the spotlight and the quiet something shifted. Glances grew shorter, touches colder, and what began as a rebellion against the crown slowly became a rebellion against each other. Every story has a final scene, some end in noise, others in silence. For Harry and Meghan, it won't be a press release or a public split. It'll be quiet, slow, invisible, until one day they just stop standing side by side. The cameras will move on. Headlines will fade. But the question will linger like an echo: was this love ever built to survive the fame it created? Because when affection turns into performance and loyalty becomes strategy, the fairy tale doesn't explode. It dissolves frame by frame, smile by smile. And in that space between flashbulbs and reality, the truth waits. Unseen, unspoken, unforgettable. What happened in New York wasn't just a moment, it was a mirror, a reflection of something Meghan has faced before: the slow fading of affection, the quiet shift from love to strategy. The pattern is hauntingly familiar: charm, performance, unraveling, always starting when the cameras turn away. And if you think this was the first time someone close to her felt that fracture, think again. Before there was a prince, there was a man who saw it coming. Joe Giuliano, Meghan's first husband. The man who once promised her forever and walked away before the world even knew her name. Now he's speaking out. And what he says about why his family rejected Meghan paints a picture far darker and more revealing than any royal drama. His words don't just explain the distance you saw on that red carpet. They reveal the pattern that's been repeating for years. If you want to understand why Harry's silence feels so final, you need to hear from the man who lived the first version of Meghan's story. Check out our previous investigation on Meghan's first husband, Joe Giuliano. He explains why his family rejected her. It's not gossip, it's context. And it changes everything you thought you knew about how this fairy tale began. You're watching Star Spotlight, where secrets cast longer shadows than fame ever could.